We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange.
You're the joker, the expert, the voice, but you're one of the crowd. A vision of weakness, you go, but your voice is so loud. I'm the butt of your joke, cause I draw more girls you hang round. You kill to make your imprint on my soul.
Good evening, welcome to nufc Matters with me, Steve Wraith. The start of another week, the fans forum, and the team might be on a break, but we aren't. We're still here to give our views on Newcastle United for the next couple of weeks as the lads have a little bit of downtime and rest their weary bones. And delighted to welcome George, Ian, Kev, Alan, Barry, Darren and Spenny onto the show to give us their views on not only the weekend's result against Manchester City, losing 3-2 to the best team in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, I think, as we all know, and whatever else is going on around Newcastle. Kev's also going to give us a little bit of his knowledge from a coaching perspective. He's looking to start off his own channel, busy looking into it at the moment. Obviously, he's got a lot going on in the good old US of A, but he's going to give us a little bit of analysis into the game and how Newcastle United fared, how they won it in certain areas, how they lost it in other areas, how Manchester City dominated in certain areas. We'll hear it all from Kev. But first, we will go for the pearls of wisdom to the main man, George. Good evening, George.
Hello, Steve. Hi, everybody.
Good to see you, mate. What did you make of that then at the weekend?
Yeah, after what we've had recently, I was looking for a reaction, and we certainly got a reaction. There's no question about that. And there was a lot of good things as well as the bad things. Yes, I hate getting beat. I detest getting beat. But I've got to say, to lose a game like that 3-2 was no disgrace at all, to be perfectly honest. And we just seen a team playing where we want to be. What we hope to be in the future, and we've got to accept we're not there yet, and even worse with the injury run that we've had. But there was lots of good things about the team. I think I said on Friday night or whenever that what I hoped was that the black and whites that went out there would give it a go, and you've got to admit they did give it a go. And I've got to say on another day. With a little bit of luck and linesman sticking his flag where the monkey sticks its nuts, we could have been 3-0 up in 10 minutes because there was 3 balls over the top, which should have been in the back of the net, and might well have been on another day. So that's the fine margins we're dealing with, as well as dealing with probably the best club side in the world. So yes, downhearted about the loss, but not downhearted so much about performance. Throughout the game, what surprised me, and Manchester City played very high line, and 9 times out of 10 when we got the ball over the top, we were going to be first there. We had the runners to worry them, except that the crucial part of the game, the last 15, 20 minutes, the lads we had on were all just cream cracker. Gordon could hardly breathe; he was so out of breath. And Isaac was strolling. He was struggling to sprint at all, and that was no surprise because they were running in circles in the last 20 minutes the way they play, and you've got to accept that. But no, I was downhearted because we lost, but not downhearted because of the performance. Seen 11 lads in black and white shirts who did their utmost to get something out of that game, and the way the loss happened in the last minutes again was really cruel. The only other comment I'd make, which is a negative one, is I don't think I've seen a worse referee than that one on Saturday. He allowed Manchester City to referee the game. Every decision that captain was at him, other players were at him. I thought that was supposed to stop. Well, it just hasn't stopped for Manchester City. They just ran him ragged. Every time he made a decision, he was surrounded by blue shirts, and he let it go on and on and on, which is a bit disappointing. But apart from that, as I've said more than once, because I don't want to hog it for everybody else, good performance. Sad about the result, and we've seen, in my view, we're beaten by where we want to be, the team we want to be, and we're just not there yet. So that's it.
Okay, Ian, good evening.
Well,
What's your thoughts on the game at the weekend?
I honestly don't think there's many games I've been more proud of the lads that played in that game. If we had anyone on the subs bench to bring on any legs on there, three players of any of the ones that are missing, and I think we win that game. I don't think I honestly really do. Someone commented, I think Steve Middlemiss commented that we're losing games in the last 20 minutes, and we are. How many games have we seen it? Because we haven't got the squad. We haven't got the squad because we can't buy players. We can't buy players because of FFP, and we've got a lot of injuries. But that's no excuse. And then lads didn't take that excuse onto the pitch. They were flipping brilliant. And I don't think I've been any more angry at the end of a game to lose a game, but not angry with anything that we did, just angry with how unfair it felt, Like I said before when we just jumped on, the neighbours learnt some new words. Like for me and Tommy. I think Tommy learnt a few new words as well, Emily came out with a few I'd never heard as well. Like we were all gutted. But the truth is the lads I thought we played out their skin. And that is, by the way, the best team in the world. And I know you say it with tongue in cheek, but they are clearly the best team in Europe. And outside of Europe, there's no one that gets near them, as you've seen in the World Championship, your club championship. So if that's where we are at the moment and that's where we want to be, we're not a million miles off without spending any money. And when FFP gets binned, which it is going to soon, because it's affecting everybody now, they brought these rules in to keep us down, and the rules are actually going up their backside, not ours, So, sorry, but we'll not talk about that. But no, I thought we were brilliant. I was really, really, really happy with the performance. Having looked at where we were, I think then that week off and the little bit of rest that the lads have has got them back. It's going to be a struggle this season. We know it is with the injuries and Big Joe being out. But we don't write this season off. We keep going, see where we end up. We might get a European place. Hopefully we do. But at least we know that they're back and they're together. Because I questioned a few weeks ago, I don't know whether anyone remembers, but I questioned whether there was an issue and whether they were together. It really looked to me like they weren't fighting as much for each other, but that I now turn that around and say they were like the old Newcastle of a few months ago. So now, to be honest, I'm buzzing with the way they tried the best, and we were close, and we got robbed as well, by the way, because that first goal for them was not a goal, it was a foul, blatant.
Okay, good stuff, Ian. Kev, your thoughts from a coaching perspective? I mean, you've sat and analysed that game. You've had time to do it with it being on Saturday. So give us your take on that.
Well, I agree with George and Ian regarding best teams in the world and things like that. And all of the above in Man City are obviously the top quality outfit and where we want to be in a certain period of time. That's undeniable. Can't question the work rate. I can't question the application to the game itself. We're that close from sneaking a point, even getting the win. However, from what I've seen early on, within 20 minutes, I think George mentioned it earlier, that we pressed, we worked, we closed them down. They got their goalkeeper, Edison, got a, injury based on the referee, the lino not sticking his flag up when he should have done. So that's a thing for VAR and the PGMOL to figure out in terms of sticking a flag up earlier, because then you're putting player injury at risk, even though it's from an opposition type of idea. But still, he then had to go off. But then to bring Ortega on, then he had a bit of a couple of oopsies, if you want to call it that. That's not a coaching term. That's just what happened, because we forced errors. After about the 20-minute mark, they started to control the game and got really how they wanted to play. Tactically, we played a 4-3-3 with it, and then 4-5-1 without it. They played a 4-2-3-1, but they were very narrow. And what was screaming at me across the whole game, and it's pretty much my full point of the game itself. Granted, yes, we scored two fantastic counter-attacking goals, which that pretty much was our game plan, from what I've seen and what I looked at. But basically, the rotation of Kovacic, Foden, Silva, Alvarez, and Doku causes problems all game. Because Silva went into the number 9, Alvarez went to 10, Alvarez went out wide, Foden came into the 10. Doku was very narrow, which allowed Walker or their left back, Guardiola, to push on and causes problems down the outside, which Walker did with Dan Burn quite successfully. Not stopping the cross for the first one, but we'll get on to the other two in a minute. So basically, when we have not got the ball, or when we had it, the ball retention was poor. We didn't retain the ball well enough to get forward or just advance up the field 15, 20 yards. The player for me, not that I love the guy, and I feel sorry for him, was Bruno Guimaraes in that midfield. All three of them, to be honest, but he was getting drawn out based on their double movements, what you call, like I said, the 5 in midfield outside of Rodri. They were swapping and changing, and Bruno didn't know whether to sit. So therefore, if you look at it back, for pretty much all of their winning the ball back, playing through us, and I've said this for weeks, we're too flat when we play a low block, meaning that our midfield 3, if it's Miley, Joe Linton, Bruno, Longstaff, whatever the combination is, you can look back at every one of their transitions, what you want to call it, we were too flat. Bruno got pushed up, but had no depth. So if you've got no depth in your midfield, then you're not going to be able to intercept, or like a Rodri done. Rodri was fantastic across the game for me, because he done exactly what Bruno didn't do in terms of sitting in front and breaking play up. Not saying Bruno's a 6, but that's his job at the minute. That's what he's supposed to do. So we had no depth in the middle of the park, which created their second and third goal. If you look at both of them, De Bruyne comes in and he swaps over with, I believe it's Alvarez. He just does the double movement. They both sit in the 10, or 2 false 9s, which is the 2 false 9s, and they'll just drop in and they're swapped over. That made our midfield readjust, because Bruno went too high and went beyond Miley, and he went beyond Longstaff and created a gap in between. And it happened all game. But that when you had two Man City players, one of the best midfielders in the world, and Kevin De Bruyne doing that with the Alvarez, then you've got other runners coming off of him from out to in to play, which when they play narrow, that caused the problem for the second and third goal. If you look at it back, De Bruyne just dribbles in between, and that forces Botman or forces Fabian Shaw to come up, drop in, press the ball and engage. Well, then you get the world-class finish, just passing into the bottom corner from Kevin De Bruyne. But then, this, as we all know, the second one done exactly the same thing, and he clips a ball to Bob, who had 2 wonderful touches to get around Martin Dubravka, and Martin Dubravka can't do anything about that. It's just a fabulous ball and a fabulous run. But again, the problem. What I see is, in not knocking our analytical staff, they're sitting there with iPads all however many of them just sitting there looking and seeing, and I can see it from 6,000 miles away on a 42-inch TV what the problem is, and it's that you can all go watch it back. It's look at the midfield specifically when we lose the ball and see how flat we are. If you're flat and the ball goes just one pass through and you've got a 10 dropping in and the rotation of their midfield and the quick movement of the ball, which is tiki taka, which is synonymous with Barcelona, and we play a gang and press, which is, I don't think that's the way we should go because we play too high and we'll get done. So overall, it's just been outdone by one pass constantly, and if our analytics team can't figure that out, that's a big problem within that part of the department. I seen it, even my wife's seen it, so that says something, and she's only been watching it for 2.5 years. So if we kept the play in front, which is fine, it's another phrase, keep the play in front, then they can go side to side all day. If you got depth across the field as a 5 or however many players, then that penetrative pass can't happen. If you apply pressure, just stand in front and keep the play going backwards and keep the play there. And yes, you might work hard, but you're not overloading the workload. You're just going from side to side. Yes, it's mentally draining. Yes, it's mentally taxing. But when you got a striker like Isak, I thought his movement was fabulous on the weekend. Yeah. If you watch it, his movement was brilliant, and he was always out, and he dragged people around, and that's how we scored the 2 goals, essentially, because he's bringing people into play. But if we can't retain that ball and that ball out into him or into a Wilson when he's fit or whoever it is, then that's a problem, because we go too far beyond, say, Isaac, Miggy, or whoever it is, we just all go gung-ho. Then we're chasing, and then it's a foot race. When you come up against a team like Man City with pace, that's going to eventually be your downfall. And so, unfortunately, it wasn't the result that we wanted. I thought we deserved more out of the game, but it's just that one key area was nullified and looked at and seen and coached properly and within the game, then I think we would have been a lot more successful within it.
No.
Okay, great review. I think Donald's having a few issues with his internet. He keeps dipping in and out, and that means that Spenny's back on the lower level, which is great for us. We can have a good laugh at that. Ian thinks it's great. Alan, that was a great game. That's what I've said about that over the course of the last 48 hours. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't enjoy the defeat. I didn't come out of the ground too disappointed. I took Newcastle to win. I just had a feeling Newcastle were going to score goals, and my prediction before the game was 2-1 to Newcastle, and of course they did get into that position. But look, Manchester City class showed through. De Bruyne changed the game. If I think had Joe Linton played at the weekend, he probably would have had the job of man marking him, and maybe he's given him a little rattle in these first 5 minutes on the pitch, but everyone who played just gave him the freedom of the pitch, unfortunately. So, we lost the game, but I'm not too downhearted, Alan. What about you?
I'm not either, Steve. I thought it was if a neutral fan watched that, it was a fantastic game of football. Yeah. It's a very rare game I can say that every goal was absolutely fantastic. I thought every goal was fantastic. Very rare you could say that in the game. You always blame somebody. I saw some of the news outlets blaming Trippier for the 3rd goal, but that pass by Kevin De Bruyne was absolutely unreal. Absolutely fantastic. As far as the game is concerned, it's decades of disappointment, Steve. I was ready to go next door and throw the family cat out the window because I was so disappointed. But it's that.
Obviously, we don't endorse animal cruelty on this program. That's the kind of thing that'll get cut, Alan, and someone will send it out there. None of us are laughing at it. None of us endorse it. But it was a phrase. It was a phrase.
It's that disappointment of losing another big game and feeling that the season's going down the drain. But we've still, like Ian says, we've still got 51 points to play for. We've still got the FA Cup. So the injuries, this reminds me so much of the 2003-4 season under Bobby Robson, where we let so many goals in late on. We had injuries, not as many as we have today, mind. And Eddie Howe wondering about the substitutes. Why doesn't he put them on? Why doesn't he put them on? And it's so much like that season. And then at the end of the season, the following season, he gets a sack. I think a lot of fans are so like frustrated. Like we all are. Nobody likes getting beat. But a great game it was. And you've just got to accept it and take your punishment. I thought, Amram was great. I thought, their team, when they're bringing on the likes of Kevin De Bruyne on and like Kevin says, great analysis of the game. When you're putting a player like him on, it's just, in my eyes, we're still light years away from where we want to be, but yet so close. I mean, this season, we've had so many games that have been so close, but we've fallen on the other side of them. I thought Isaac's finish was fantastic. Same with Gordon. Like I say, all the goals were fantastic in the game. I just hope the season doesn't peter out, which I believe it will, to be honest. And my heart of hearts, does many people have confidence about beating Fulham in the FA Cup? I don't think so. But I'm hoping, change my mind next week, but I'm just hoping that the rally cry and there's plenty to play for. I just hope we get our players back. And I hope it's not true about Joe Linton being out for the rest of the season. And like I say, I won't be too dismayed if we don't sign anybody in the January window. I don't think we will, to be perfectly honest now. I think after the Everton thing, like today, they've been in breach with the rules today as well as Nottingham Forest. I think a lot of clubs are frightened to spend to breach the rules now. So I know a lot of fans will be crying out for signings, but I can't see it actually, Steve. But getting back to the game, I thought it was a fantastic game, and a game we came on the wrong side of a big game, and I'm gutted for that reason.
Alan, you've caused a stir now. You've got people meowing in the chat, emojis of cats. Alan McKenzie, I didn't realise works for the RSPCA. He's asking if there's anything going on. Jordy Timberline says, Trolls, Alan was a goalkeeper in the past. But yeah, no cats were harmed, as Julie says, in the making of this programme.
We're not signing Kurt Zuma, are we?
Oh, dear me.
There was a rumour, Ian. There was a rumour.
Yeah.
The rumour about Zuma.
Barry, I'm trusting no animals were harmed at your gaff.
No, definitely not. Spenny's not happy. It should have gone to him before me, bless him.
Yeah, he stuck up the top now.
He's stuck in the corner, so he's missed his turn.
Get it down. Relegated.
I blame Dunnell because Dunnell keeps dipping in and out. But don't worry, I've got my mind on who's going next. So don't worry. Go on, Barry.
I think it was a cracking game. I think anybody who says that we did poorly against the best team in Europe for me, and we pushed them. I mean, yes, we struggled at times, but considering the team and the squad and the players who've got fit, I think they did us proud. I think the 2 goals were tremendous. I wish whoever it is in the chat who keeps saying we're going to sell Isaac and Bruno would go and watch somewhere else, but there we go. Because it's not going to happen. We look absolutely class. We're back to the form that we wanted them to be. They're putting the effort in. And if we can do that against Fulham, we'll turn Fulham over, no problem whatsoever. And I think we'll give anybody a good game. I am concerned. I agree with Alan. I think Joe Linton, it's not sounding good at all. And then the story's knocking about Steve that Calvin Phillips isn't coming either, that he's Man City aren't prepared to negotiate on the loan price. So then it questions who are we going to get? Are we going to play somebody there? Personally, I know I tried to stick this in the chat when you were on last night, Steve, but you were stout of. I don't know what the other lads think about trying Fabian Schär at defensive midfield, central defensive midfield. I just think his ability on the ball, I think he could do a job. And we've got an abundance of centre halves.
He does it very nice. He does it very well for Switzerland.
Well, that's it. And it seems to be that for whatever reason, we're either struggling to bring the people in that we want, or there's ridiculous prices knocking about there. I wasn't 100% sure Phillips would have been who we wanted anyway, especially just for this period of the second half of the season. But you've got to be realistic about Man City. They're going to turn over 95% of the teams in world football, let alone us. And we didn't do that badly against them. I think Isaac's goal was class. We just looked tired towards the end, which I think is a bit concerning. But like the other guys have said, once we've got a few more people back, why not? We'll give everybody a push. Roll on the second half of the season for me.
Yeah, we just saw how much it meant to Pep Guardiola beating Newcastle. It shows you how far we've come in a short space of time. And injuries permitting, we'll be up there challenging with them at some point. But at the moment, it's not working in that way. Okay, Darren, we'll come to you next, mate. Give us your take on that game.
I was only disappointed we got beaten the last 5 minutes, but overall, I was overwhelmed how we tried, how hard we work, and how committed we were. But you've got to, Man City are the best team in the world for a reason. How they pass the ball side to side, the drain the energy out of our players 100%. We done a counter attack in the second half, and Gordon and Isak were absolutely knackered. How hard they work all game. I don't agree with Alan's tactical thing a little bit. Kevin's tactical thing a little bit. I thought we're not too stationary, but I just think that every player tried the hardest. And I know I was seeing Miley, he was the only one who went missing a little bit in the world-class midfield they've got. But overall, you've got to give. They're bringing on Kevin De Bruyne, who we've got to bring on Lewis Hall. I mean that's a difference, and we want to be there one time. It's going to take time and years to get where they are.
And the other thing is as well. Sorry for interrupting, but the other thing is as well. How good was De Bruyne when he was 17, and how good was Rodri when he was 17?
I know that we're not talking about them though. We're talking about them.
What I'm saying is,
I'm saying,
Miley is a 17-year-old kid. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying.
I know. But Miley looked lost.
I thought when Miley was carrying an injury. I mean, it was.
I accept that, but I just think he looked lost in. Yes, we could have done with Joe Linton because he would have been a bit physical in midfield. I personally complain.
I personally think all three, Darren, were carrying a knock. I mean, Bruno now, there's talk about him potentially being injured and being out. Miley, the rumours were circulating for at least 2 or 3 days pre-match, and I don't think anybody could deny that Sean Longstaff is playing through the pain barrier. So we are in a right mess.
How hard the work? I think it was fantastic. How hard the worked so hard for us. Yeah, and the people can't see that. There's something wrong with them. I was upset we got beaten because wrong. But I wasn't depressed like Alan. I wasn't upset like Alan. I said, we'll give 110%. We couldn't ask for anything else. We all knew the season was going to be not the same as last. Well, I thought I knew the season wouldn't be the same as last season. But we'll go again next game. Have a 2-week break.
Hey, listen, lads. Listen, before I go to Spenny, we're only 6 points off 6th place. We just need a little bit of luck with injuries. And we might lose Joe Linton. We might have lost Joe Linton for a lot longer than we thought. But, ultimately, Harvey Barnes certainly sounds as if he's a lot closer than most. It sounds like Willock will be treated with kid gloves. And I don't expect to see Willock maybe for another 2 to 3 weeks. But the 2-week break's going to do everyone the world of good. Callum Wilson's going to be back in there. Don't forget that Isaac can play midfield. He can play in the midfield. It's up to Eddie Howe. This is what he gets paid for. To work it all out and to do the job. My feeling, and again, I've mentioned this already, but from my point of view, I personally felt that, like the PSG game and the Chelsea game, it looked to me as if we decided not to attack in the second half. It looked like we decided to sit on the lead and not push on and not attack. And we did that against PSG and we did it against Chelsea. And we nearly got away with it in both those games. I felt like we tried to do it against Man City, and we came a cropper, because when you allow the best team in the world to play in your half, you are going to concede goals, and that's what we did. And I heard Anthony Gordon come out at the end of the game and say the gaffer told us to push for the third goal, but we just couldn't do it. Well, once we conceded the second goal, we looked as if we tried to get at them again. So I don't know. Listen, they're a good team. Their substitute changed it. That's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
If we can put the same level of effort and performance into Fulham, Villa, Luton in our next 3 games, I genuinely think we'll be fine. And we're only 6 points off 6th place. That's got to be our aim. Get back into the European places. And it's the season's not over yet. Okay, Spenny, coming to you now, mate. Give us your opinion on the game, mate. You've been up and down, upstairs, downstairs, because Dunnell keeps going in and out. But you're on now, mate. Go for it.
I've grown a beard since I've been waiting as well.
You have, mate. It suits you.
Yeah. In layman's terms, from the coach's view, from a fan's view as well, for me, we're playing the best team in the world, club football. The same positions where Kev was saying there, where we play in the league, are the same problems we had last year, which you got away with. Leaving gaps in midfield and defence, which you've been saying from the start of the season. That's why we brought Tonali in to cover that space up. But unfortunately, he's now out, suspended. The game itself, I thought we were back to our top 6 football team on Saturday. Without a doubt, the attacking mind and the integrity of the players of like Gordon, Isaac, and Almiron tracking back, Trippier going forward, Botman being there. Bruno was absolutely first class the first half. His ball for Gordon to score the goal was absolutely brilliant. We were unlucky to, like George said, to maybe be 3 or 4 up with the keeper injury. When we should have scored there when he come back up, and the Almiron and Bruno mixed themselves up, they should have scored there. Also, Isaac missed a bit of a thought. Isaac could have done better with that chance as well. I think Manchester City controlled the game. Yes, you're right, but he also controlled the referee, like George said, and the linesman. Some of the linesman's flag didn't go up when Anderson went down for injury. They had Carl Walker and all, and went over the lines and went, put your flag up. And the next incident after that, he put his flag up before it happened. So the Man City players got him in his head. Absolute disgrace, that referee on Saturday, no matter what you said. And the handsball that wasn't shown by TNT was absolute disgrace, because it was a handsball as well. But I've got encouragement from that result, and I think with the games we've got coming up, the likes of Fulham, Bournemouth, Luton, all them, Aston Villa. I think we'll get a draw at Aston Villa if we get this confidence going in the cup. I think we'll start producing what we did in September and October. Get up that league. The only concern is the rumours about Joe Linton being out for a long time, and Bruno being on another yellow card to get a suspension for 2 games. That is a very concern for me. But hopefully, like you said, Willick won't be out as long. We can fit him back in a couple of weeks. But I think it's a 2-week break now, Stephen.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be back in a couple of weeks with Wilson be back. And who else is coming back? Someone else was coming back. I can't remember who it is now. My concern is that hopefully we never hear anything about Anderson. I don't know what the hell's going on about Anderson.
He mentioned him in the press conference on Friday. He was asked specifically about each player individually by different journalists. It's not good news on Anderson. He said that he was going for a scan this week, so Monday, Tuesday this week. But he's nowhere near coming back. I think his season's over. From what I can hear, the stress fracture in his back he's not done any training since the injury. So it is still healing. Such an awkward injury. And like Eddie said, every injury we've had hasn't been 2 or 3 weeks. It's been 6 to 8 weeks. But it's a freak injury, Spenny. So he's not going to play any part this season, I wouldn't imagine.
There's no disrespect to the 2 lads in the middle, right? I'm going to be a bit controversial here. Longstaff and Marley are not top 10 club players. They're below the top 10 club players, them 2. It's plain to see as well when they're playing with Bruno. Bruno was doing about 3 or 4 different jobs in midfield. Defending, attacking, position play. As soon as De Bruyne came on, you could see, like Kev's just pointed out, the position you're playing against the best position midfielder in the world at the moment. If he sees the space, he gets the space and plays the ball straight away as soon as you blink your eyes. That's how good he is. So for me, it was encouragement from the result. I was pleased with the lads' performance. But now we've got it out the way. We've got Liverpool out the way. We've got Man City out the way. We don't have to play them anymore. Let's go on and get back up that league and get a European split place.
Okay, good stuff. Donald, over to you, mate.
Yeah, what a great game for the neutral, but you know it was like it reminded you of that 4-3 back in 1996. We were on the wrong end of it. First half, I mean, 2 absolute bits of quality. You know, the 2 goals, Isak and Gordon, absolutely brilliant. And for the first goal, a special mention to Fabian Schär, the tackle he put in to set up Bruno for that absolute world-class assist. Second half, I felt we were, you know, we ended up going a bit too deep. We allowed them to come onto us, and eventually we were going to come a cropper. But no disgrace in the result. Fantastic effort from all the lads. You know, we got beat by. We didn't get absolutely hammered by the best team in the world. We ran them close. On another day, we could have come away with a point. But Man City are the yardstick to where we want to be. And we're not a million miles off. We've had, obviously, terrible luck with the injuries. Those injuries mean we can't change it like Man. Yeah, you know, we can't change it like other teams can. So here, let's roll on. Lots of football to be played, lots to play for. We can still, you know, qualify for either Europa League or Europa Conference. I'll leave it there.
Well said, Donald. Well said. Okay, halfway through the show, time for the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors: Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks again to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. If you'd like to order some, then give them a call on 01768 210 102. Go to the website mrvickys.co.uk or drop them an email, info@mrvickys.co.uk. A big thanks to United Group Travel. They're a family firm based in Morpeth with pickups throughout the Northeast. No strangers on our tours, just people you haven't met yet. They've got a presence on Facebook and a website, unitedgrouptravel.com. If you want to make a booking, give them a call on 01670 632 460 or mobiles 0791 666 4174 0795 71 41654. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, independent funeral directors. Let us look after you in your time of need. They're based on Old Durham Road in Gateshead, and you can contact them at their website, darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Email darren@darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or give them a call, 0191 478 2730. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And a big thanks to New Workwear. You can find them at newworkwear.com. If you want to help the channel, hit the thumb up to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and share to your other social media. You can also pay a one-off fee of £25 to get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. Go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and click membership, or put your smartphone over this QR code. We also support the food bank on this channel. If you want to make some donations virtually, go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and make a donation today. We're also a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast providers. Just search NUFC Matters. I'm also part of the Northeast Footy Brekkie Show. You can listen to that Monday to Friday, 7 till 9 at thetooneuk.com. We've also got an event coming up next year. It's in January the 19th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. It's an evening with Nobby Solano. Tickets are available on Voucher for £20. Don't forget, Supermac and Gibbo do every pre-match at Louis' Liquor Store. It's free entry, children welcome, and there is great food by Fed's Fried Chicken. They're usually on pre-match and sometimes post-match at Louis' Liquor Store. Okay, the Nobby Solano event, of course, is this Friday. So if anybody wants to go, get yourself onto Voucher. Tickets still available, £19. We'll be doing another members draw before the end of the show today. But we have had a question sent in by Paul Tweedy on Twitter. Good evening, Paul. He just wants to know, I guess after the Darren Eales interview, he just wanted to say hi to everybody. He says, how many signings do the lads think we will make in the last 2 weeks of this window? George, we've heard Darren Eales say that we're not going to sign anybody. We've heard Eddie Howe back him up and say that we probably won't sign anybody either. Is this a little bit of bluffing from Newcastle? It looks as if the Phillips deal's dead in the water, but with another injury potentially, longer injuries, should I say, to Joe Linton. This is leaving us even weaker now than we were before he was injured in midfield. What's your thoughts? Are we going to bring anybody in?
Well, that's two senior people at Newcastle United trying to calm the fans' excitement about what they think was going to happen. Because it's clear everybody was talking about Phillips and this one and that one possibly coming in. Well, in fact, it's not going to happen. So I can understand what they were doing. They were just putting a bit of damper on the fire for the fans to persuade them to not get too expected. But with all the injuries and now new ones by the sound of it, I would be entirely amazed if we didn't at least have 2 loan signings by the end of the window. And when the people talk like that, I look back to last year when Eddie Howe said categorically, that's it, there's no more signings. And then the next bloody day they signed Isaac for 65 million. So, that shows how far it goes for them. So I think there's a bit of it's about calming the nerves and calming the expectations of the fans, and then doing their business in the background in the quiet. So I'd be very surprised if we did get at least 2 loan signings in by the end of the window.
Okay, give us your thoughts then, Ian. Do you think we'll sign anybody? Lots of people saying none in the chat. What's your feeling?
My feeling is I've got 2 feelings. So the feeling of what we'll actually do as a club is I think we will sign. I think we will sign 1 or 2 players on loan, and I actually think we will actually sign a player, buy a player as well. I think a lot of this is smoke screens. When you look at the increased revenue and actually what we spent and the way that we've amortized or whatever it's called, or spread the payments over the years of contracts, we have increased 40% in the first year of the new ownership and another 40% again, and we haven't spent as much money as we could have done. So I do think that there's money there. I just think we're being a little bit clever and downplaying it. But what I actually think we should do is just save bollocks to FFP, because the amount of teams now that are getting dragged into these issues with FFP, top teams as well. FFP was brought in for a reason, and initially I think that the right reason, it was brought in for the right reason. It was brought in to stop teams coming up into the Premier League, spending shitloads of money to stay in to keep the golden goose and the golden egg, and then when they didn't stay in there, going back down and getting into major financial trouble. Since it's been there, it's obviously, as everything in football, it's been bastardized by the powers that be to make everything go to the benefit of the hierarchy, or the greedy six, or whatever you want to call them. And I think now FFP is, it's run its time. It's not fit for purpose, and I think we should just go out, buy who we want to buy, bollocks to it, and see what happens, because I can't see it being around. And if we take punishment, we take punishment. But at the moment, we're taking it up the arse, literally, of these people, to the detriment. No, in fact, if you looked at it as a health and safety thing, if you were somebody looking at the club, we're injuring players because we're playing them when they're not fit to be played, because we can't buy players and we can't just play kids, So I think we should just go out, buy who we want to buy, not take them P massively, buy who we need, and then take the consequences as and when they come, because I honestly think it's not going to come, because when the likes of City get pulled up, Man United are being talked as if they've overspent. Like all these teams, there's some, everyone, Everton have got another charge pending. Notts Forest have got a charge pending. It only takes 14 teams to vote against it. But there's going to be 14 teams on charges soon. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, bollocks to them. Spend what we want to spend. Bend them over. The knobs.
Always got a great way of putting across your point, Ian. Kev.
My cat's coming to your place, Ian.
How to follow that?
Your cat will be swerving your place, Alan, after you did what you did earlier. Kevin, bring us back to some.
I think we need say that again.
Bring us back to some normality.
I'll try to. I'm in between them two, Spenny and him. So I'll try to. I think we need to just, in better terms, I think we need to roll the dice a little bit, and navigate the transfer market in a bit more of an intelligent way. Find the little diamonds in the rough that can actually add to our playing staff that we have. Central midfield looks like a big of a need and a must. I think another centre forward is on the same path as that in terms of a must. Yeah. Because I can't play all these games with Wilson out for an extended period of time. I'll roll the dice and I'll put a bit more eloquently than the previous contributor. I would, but again, at the same time, we've got to be very careful. And I understand, the rumours of Ashraf going to Man United and he's not doing his job properly. Well, he's doing his job properly. He's the director of football. However, it's the person under him who's not doing his role correctly, and that's the head of recruitment. So, and I've been told, no uncertain terms, his job pretty much on the line if he doesn't bring anybody in, regardless of financial fair play regulations and things like that. So that's not breaking news, but that's his job's on the line. Our head of recruitment. I can see us bringing in maybe two, maybe one. Well, say two, but we'll have to roll the dice to get them and maybe take the financial hit to do so.
Okay, lots of comments coming in about FFP. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night on Geordie's here. Geordie's there. I'm sure there'll be a little bit to discuss after the news that's been released today about Forest and Everton, but I see a few legal battles on the horizon. Yes, Spenny, the question that Paul Tweedy asked was, do you think we'll sign anybody, Spenny? Do you think we'll sign, a couple of players at least?
I think we'll sign three. I think we'll sign three players, most definitely. There'll be one loan from abroad, one loan from here, because we only allowed two, aren't we, from this country, and a permanent deal, like Ian said. We've got to, and we are a business, simple as that. Business, if you go work in a business and you've got people off sick, what do? We bring others in. You've got a player out there, one of our biggest signings out for all of the year. We couldn't do anything about it when he was suspended, and we haven't replaced him. We've got enough money. It's all just a smoke screen for me. Every time when Gordon signed, someone said, we had no money. FFP, we got to be watching where we go and what we're doing. And we spent 45 million on him. We said the same about Isaac. we don't have any money left. We spent a lot.
Yeah.
And later in the summer window, we went up and broke our club record, 60-odd million. We've got money. The deals are some of the things that Darren Hales showed, like the lad said last night, the sponsorship and all, etc., the women's team and all that hasn't been shown on the books. And this goes on to this year's books. Yeah. So if Newcastle's in trouble, like they were when Eddie came in, we're going to get relegated and all this crap. What did we do? We acted upon it. So for me, yes, we'll get 3 signings in. I've always been confident, that stage before the January. We'll get somebody in. And we'll get somebody in. And we'll get a CDM in and a centre half and maybe a backup striker as well. Correct.
Okay, Donald.
Yeah, as I say, I'm quite confident we're going to get 3 in the positions that we need, i.e. CDM, as we've mentioned time and time again, backup centre back, and a centre forward is a must, because we can't have Isaac playing all them games on his own, because if he gets injured, we are literally kiboshed. And obviously Wilson cannot be relied upon to play, a full season, and he has to be mollycoddled. So yeah, how they come out. I mean, at a guess, I would say we get 1 permanent and 2 on loan. And maybe we might dive into the Saudi-owned clubs in the Saudi League. So that's what I think.
Okay, interesting points. Alan, do you think we're going to venture into the transfer market despite the comments that have come out of the club in the last 7 days?
I'm hoping like Spain for 3, Steve. Will we get 3? No, I don't think so. PSR rules, lads. Do you want a free for all? Because everybody's saying scrap them and scrap the rules, scrap this. It's stopping us. And like Ian, I agree with Ian what he said about them being like good intentions. And now it's come where Villa, Everton, Newcastle, West Ham can it break into the top 6. My solution to that is be able to spend more money, be able to have a cap, say 300-400 million a year. Because at the end of the day, lads, if you scrapped it all and it was a free for all would happen is you're creating a Super League, a massive Super League. Because like the Newcastle, yes, we could spend it all. Then we'll have our players on £200,000-300,000 a week. Help the 2 teams, then you're stopping any smaller team ever getting to the top. So in effect, in years to come, you're in fact actually creating a Super League with having the free for all. It might happen because Arsenal fans, the podcasts are going, lads. Man United fans, Chelsea fans are all screaming for a striker. Everyone, and we can't because of the rules. Now, it might come to the point where them teams, like Ian says, all vote for a change, that we're allowed to spend more money. And that's what will happen in the future, we hope. Because it'll come within, not from us, Newcastle, but from the other clubs who think they're entitled to win the title every year. So going forward, lads, I think we should not break the rules like Ian suggests. I think we should play by them so we don't get embroiled in the fact of where the dirty Saudi owners are breaking the rules and we're castrated from the Premier League. I think it'll happen over time, and I think the changes will happen over a period of time where we're allowed to spend more money, but it'll gradually have to change because there's
my argument back to you on there is you've got the best of the business in our club, right, to sort this FFP out. Mm-hmm. If the club want to buy somebody, they know all the angles, they know where to pay and what not to pay. They wouldn't be scouting for 3 months in Germany, in France and all that, looking at options for the January window.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
I hope you're right, Spain. I hope you're right. I really do. I just think with the Everton situation, 10 points, it's frightened everybody off for spending. Last year, this time, Chelsea had spent about 400 million by this point, and other teams were spending loads of money.
Yeah.
I've never heard of any big, really, apart from Tottenham with 1 player, no really big signings so far.
There was 70 million loss, yes, but it's shown in the books. 25 million valued us, then you've got the seller deal. Then you've got the women's football. That'll be about 50 million at least.
And the Champions League, Spenny.
Yes,
correct.
the Champions League. That's
And then
all
we'll-
covered.
And then we're holding back. One would imagine on potentially the stadium sponsor, all these other sponsorships that could
Adidas.
Yeah.
And this is why the future's bright, lads.
You won't show the public your books, your riot books. What you just show the public what you want public to say and what other teams in the league who's trying to want who you after. What you've got. It's like buying a car.
Yeah.
Okay, Darren, thoughts on whether we'll bring anybody in?
I completely disagree with Ian because I don't want to be going breaking rules because, like, I agree with Alan. Only the club will bust the gut. If we broke one slight rule, only the club will bust the gut to nail us.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give the other club satisfaction by breaking any rules.
Yeah.
Yes, you
But
can vote for them.
at that point, that will work in our favour because if they've
I just don't believe in rules though. I agree if we vote. If the clubs want to vote to stop this thing, well, I just don't agree to go and break the rules because that's what Newcastle's not about. We're not about going breaking rules. We want to compete in a fair way.
Yeah.
I just don't see the point of breaking the rules just for the sake of it.
We won't break the rules, Darren. Simple as that.
We don't let you sense, buddy. No one actually knows the true books. But I would want one player in for Corn. It's gonna be hard, but I'd rather go big in the summer.
Yeah.
And where I spend, but I say I just don't want to be breaking any rules because, like I say, I wouldn't want to give the other club satisfaction by saying Newcastle United broke the rules. Just nail them. All the other clubs will be your Daniel Levy's, your Matt. They'll be busting the gut behind the doors. So I don't want to give them satisfaction. You're right.
Spot on, Darren.
Yeah. Another thing. Another thing. If we break the rules, we get a fine, and that fine eats into our transfer budget as well, doesn't it? That's another thing to think about.
Yeah, but that's money's not. That's all right. Money's money.
Very quickly, what my thought is within the three years before it'll actually come to the point where us breaking the rules becomes a problem, FFP is not going to be around because it's going to hamper the bigger clubs. The bigger clubs are already getting hamstrung by it, and they're not going to have it, so they're going to change it anyway. And they'll probably change it to try and knack us, but it's only going to get better for us because they can't do any more to us. So it's not about breaking the rules for me. It's about saying the rules aren't fair. And if we don't want to go challenge the rules and they come against us, we can then challenge them and say, well, if it's okay for City, why is it not okay for us? That's all.
The thing is, as well, I'll go into it again. Sorry, I'm interrupting again. We can't sell players. Because the players we've got for sale aren't good enough to sell because nobody wants them. That's why we can't make this money.
No value.
And this is what happened under the actual years, Spenny. We've had such a poor squad that the other teams above have had such a better squad to be able to sell their assets and get over the FFP rules. Like Liverpool sold Coutinho for 100-odd million.
Yeah.
Aston Villa sold Grealish for 100 million. They're still living off the process of that. Now Villa squad.
Out of contract in the summer. We've got a few players out of contract in the summer.
That's going to help. That is going to help because it's going to clear a few players off the books. But I genuinely, it just leaves you scratching your head when you see how much Chelsea have spent on players, £1 billion on players. They can't have balanced their books. Surely to God, they couldn't.
Without a shirt sponsor, Steve.
Yeah, but I mean, come on,
Chelsea's like a cattle market, don't it? They just buy players to sell them on.
And obviously we were in our accounts. We also saw that one of our I'm saying owners, 10% shareholder in the club, has took money out for legal bills. I don't know how that. I'm not an expert on the finances. This is a loan. It's going to be paid back. I would imagine it's interest free. But how does that affect you? How does that affect your accounts? That's money out of the business. Now that could be for fighting legal battles against the previous owner. It could be for the legal battles in their own personal. I don't know what it is. it's unexplained. All we know is it's a loan for legal fees. So again, does that affect our FFP? Who knows? Barry, we'll come to you, mate. You've waited patiently, as Jules
Well,
says.
it's only a game. So,
I mean, for me, my disappointment is that they had however long from the start of the season. They must be doing, like Spenny said, they must be doing research behind the scenes. They must be looking at players. Yes, you can turn around and say that they wouldn't have known what injuries were going to be there, but they knew from God knows how far back that Tonali wasn't going to be about. So even if they just had somebody lined up to come in as soon as the January transfer window to replace him in the squad, then they could have dealt with the other issues as and when they came along. I totally agree. The money's there. It's just they're not going to give away the hand. They're not going to say that we've got this much to spend or that much to spend. They'll be trying to get the best deals possible. I think the issue we've got is I wouldn't trust the majority of Premier League teams to sell us a decent player. I think every time we show an interest in anybody from one of the top sort of 8 teams upwards, either the price is ridiculous, the amount they're trying to charge us is off the scale, the players are twisting about coming or this, that, and the other, and it's not worth the hassle.
The best players we've got in from abroad anyway, Barry.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's all about bringing quality players in from abroad. You're not going to pay the same sort of money as you are for some of the rubbish from this league who will cost an astronomical fee. But I am a bit disappointed because Eddie always says the same thing, Steve. He always says, I like to get the players in early to give them a chance to bed in. And for me, that would have been ideal while they've got the 2 weeks break to get them up to speed with the way the team plays and everything else. That suggests that they're not necessarily getting the first person they want off the list. They must be working their way down the list, as we see all the time on here. Newcastle will have 3 players at least for each position that they want. But I totally agree with Spenny. I'm hoping like mad they'll bring in 3 players before the end of the transfer window.
Sorry, mate.
I was just going to say the longer it goes on, the more nervous I'm getting because I don't want it to be a bloody transfer deadline day thing. Go on, Spenny.
The thing we've got as a problem as well, it's all right saying we'll sell Wilson and all these players, but you've got to sell them for a profit. And when you buy someone for 15 million, you've got to sell them for more than that to make it as a profit. If you sell it less than 15 billion or 10 million, you lose as a loss. So that's what goes against it as well.
Yeah.
It would have to be a Saudi club to make it worthwhile selling Wilson.
Fascinating show, great debate. We've come to the end of the show, but there is a members draw. So here we go. The winner of a pair of tickets to see our good friend Nobby Solano at the Irish Centre on Friday is number 20, E. Punchian. You have won a pair of tickets to come along.
Jason's brother.
It's not Jason's brother, but well done to Mr. E. Punchian. Joe will contact you. John will contact you. He's got your email. See you 7 o'clock at the Irish Centre. Been fun and games as usual in the chat. Thanks very much to all the moderators. And we will have a slight change to programming this week. We will be with the Geordies here. Geordies there crowd tomorrow night, which means a return for George and for Kevin. So we will see you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Take care. Thanks, lads.
Cheers, lads.
Good to see you.
Bye, everyone. Good to see you.